If you're over 60 and you've noticed that your interest in sex isn't what it used to be, you may have quietly wondered, is this simply what happens when you get older? Here's the surprising answer: not necessarily. Sexual desire can change with age, but a noticeable drop in libido can have many possible causes, and some are things you may be able to address. It could be your sleep. It could be stress, it could be a medication, it could be a change in your physical health, or it could be something you've simply never connected to your sex drive. And there's one reason on this list that many people don't think about at all. So stay with me, because understanding the reason behind the change may be more useful than simply accepting it as inevitable. As we get older, hormone levels can change. For men, testosterone levels generally decline gradually with age. For women, the hormonal changes associated with menopause can affect sexual desire, vaginal comfort, and other aspects of sexual health. But here's an important distinction. A change in hormones doesn't automatically mean hormone treatment is the answer. Hormones are only one possible piece of the puzzle. If you've noticed a persistent change in sexual desire, particularly when it's affecting your relationship or quality of life, it's reasonable to discuss it with a healthcare professional. They can look at your overall health rather than assuming age is the explanation. And that leads to our second reason, one that can be surprisingly powerful. What if your disappearing sex drive isn't really about sex? What if you're simply exhausted? Poor sleep can leave you feeling tired, irritable, and less interested in activities you normally enjoy. And many adults over 60 experience changes in their sleep patterns. You may wake frequently, you may go to bed early but still feel tired the next day, or perhaps you're dealing with persistent snoring or other sleep problems. The key question is, are you losing interest in intimacy, or are you losing energy for almost everything? That distinction matters. If your low energy and poor sleep are persistent, talk with your healthcare professional rather than simply accepting them as normal aging. And now we're getting to something many people overlook completely: your medicine cabinet. Here's a reason that can genuinely surprise people. Some medications can affect sexual desire or sexual function. Certain medicines used for depression, blood pressure, and other health conditions may contribute to sexual side effects in some people. But never stop or change a prescribed medication on your own. Instead, if you notice a significant change after starting a medication or changing its dose, tell your healthcare professional. There may be alternatives, dosage adjustments, or other approaches worth discussing. And this is exactly why guessing can be a mistake. You might think, I'm over 60. My sex drive is gone because I'm getting old. But the actual issue could be something else entirely. And the next reason isn't sitting in your medicine cabinet. It's happening in your mind. Here's a pattern people sometimes miss. Your body may be physically capable of intimacy, but your mind may simply not be in the right place. Financial concerns, family responsibilities, loneliness, relationship tension, grief, anxiety, stress, any of these can affect sexual interest, and there's nothing unusual or shameful about that. After 60, life can bring major changes: retirement, changes in family roles, loss of loved ones, or new responsibilities. Sometimes the first step isn't trying to increase libido. Sometimes it's addressing what's occupying your mind. Talk with your partner, make time for connection. And if anxiety, depression, or persistent emotional distress is interfering with daily life, consider speaking with a qualified professional, because sexual health isn't separate from emotional well-being. They're often connected. And there's another connection you shouldn't overlook: your cardiovascular system, metabolic health, nervous system, and general fitness all contribute to how you feel. Conditions such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, obesity, chronic pain, and other health problems can affect sexual desire or sexual function. That's why a sudden or persistent change shouldn't automatically be dismissed as aging. Think of your sex drive as one part of the bigger picture. If you've also noticed less energy, reduced physical stamina, persistent pain, changes in mood, difficulty with sexual function, major changes in sleep, it may be worth discussing the whole pattern with your healthcare professional. And here's the good news: looking after your overall health can also support your sexual well-being. Which brings us to something you can actually work on every day. You don't need to become an athlete to support healthy aging, but regular physical activity can help maintain strength, mobility, cardiovascular fitness, and overall well-being. And when you become increasingly inactive, you may notice changes in energy, confidence, physical function, and mood. Start according to your abilities. Walking, gentle resistance exercises, mobility work, balance exercises, swimming, whatever is appropriate and enjoyable for you. If you've been inactive for a long time or have significant health concerns, get appropriate guidance before starting a new exercise program. And don't underestimate the psychological side. When you feel stronger and more capable in everyday life, that can influence how you feel about yourself. But there is still one more reason, and this one has almost nothing to do with hormones. Sometimes the issue isn't simply, I don't want sex anymore. Sometimes the relationship itself has changed. After decades together, couples can fall into routines. Conversation becomes mostly about bills, family, appointments, and daily responsibilities. Physical affection may gradually decrease, and suddenly, intimacy feels like something from another stage of life. But intimacy doesn't have to mean one specific activity: holding hands, hugging, talking privately, going for a walk together, spending uninterrupted time together. These forms of connection can help couples rebuild closeness. And here's the important part: don't turn intimacy into a performance test. At any age, comfort, communication, consent, and mutual enjoyment matter more than trying to recreate what your relationship was like decades ago. Now, you may be wondering, what can you actually do if your sex drive has changed? Let's make that practical. Don't start with random supplements from the internet. Don't assume you need hormones. And don't secretly blame yourself or your partner. Start by asking a few simple questions. When did the change begin? Was it sudden or gradual? Did it begin after a medication change? Has your sleep changed? Are you under unusual stress? Have you noticed other physical symptoms? These questions can help you identify patterns. And if the change is persistent or bothersome, bring those observations to your healthcare professional. You don't have to feel embarrassed. Healthcare professionals discuss sexual health with patients regularly. The information you provide can help them understand the bigger picture. Now let's talk about something important. When people notice a decline in sexual desire, they may become vulnerable to products promising instant results. You may see claims like, boost your libido overnight, restore your youthful hormones naturally. Doctors don't want you to know this. Be careful. A dramatic promise doesn't automatically mean a reliable solution. Some supplements can interact with medications or may not be appropriate for people with certain health conditions. So before taking a product marketed for sexual enhancement, discuss it with a qualified healthcare professional. The goal isn't to chase your younger body. The goal is to understand your current body. And that mindset can make a huge difference. Here's something I really want you to remember. Turning 60, 70, or even 80 doesn't automatically mean intimacy has to disappear. People age differently. Some experience major changes in sexual desire. Others maintain an active interest in intimacy. And many experience changes, but find ways to adapt. There is no single definition of a healthy sex life after 60. Your relationship, health, comfort, preferences, and circumstances are unique, so don't compare yourself with someone else. Instead, ask, what does healthy intimacy look like for me and my partner at this stage of life? That is a much more useful question, and sometimes the answer may involve changes, not an ending. There is one situation where I especially don't want you to ignore the change. If your loss of sexual desire is sudden, persistent, distressing, or accompanied by other new symptoms, bring it up with a healthcare professional. Especially if you're also experiencing significant fatigue, mood changes, pain, sexual function changes, or other unexplained changes in your health. That doesn't mean something serious is necessarily wrong. It simply means there's enough of a change to deserve attention. And remember, you know you're normal better than anyone else. If something feels noticeably different, it's reasonable to ask why. Let's quickly review the 7 reasons. Number 1, hormonal changes. Number 2, poor sleep and low energy. Number 3, medication side effects. Number 4, stress, anxiety, or emotional changes. Number 5, physical health conditions. Number 6, too little physical activity. Number 7, changes in relationship and intimacy. And notice something important. Not one of these automatically means your sex life is over. Some factors may be manageable, some may require medical evaluation, some may require communication, and some may simply require adapting to a new stage of life. So if you're over 60 and your sex drive has changed, don't immediately tell yourself, I'm just getting old. Instead, ask, what's changed and what can I do about it? That question can open the door to better conversations, better healthcare, and possibly a better understanding of your own body. Aging doesn't have to mean giving up on intimacy. It means learning what your body needs now. If you found this helpful, share it with someone over 60 who may quietly be asking the same question. And comment below. Do you think people talk openly enough about sexual health after 60?